It's time for today's travel and cruise industry news. With the latest from travel and cruises around the world, here's your host, Chillie Falls.
Good morning. Welcome to Travel and Cruise Industry News on this Friday, December the 9th, 2022. Coming to you from Bimini in the Bahamas. It's set up here at the Dutch Cafe on board the New Stotendam. I was really kind of surprised at the Dutch Cafe. You know, they have specialty coffees. Of course, you have to pay for those. But all the good-looking pastries and stuff, those come gratis, complimentary. So I'm hoping to have a little surprise before the show's over with today. They have what's called a bashable, and I'm probably mispronouncing that terribly. But it's like a huge, puffy eclair-like thing with lots of chocolate on it. They only make 30 of them a day, and they serve them at precisely 11:30. So I'll be on the air at 11:30. I can't run down there and get one. So anyway, I've ordered one, and we'll see if I can get it understood this morning, that it'll actually be delivered to us while we're on the show, so I can show it to you before I devour it. All right, we do have a couple of news stories we'll get to eventually this morning, and of course, a special guest today. AIDAbella crashes into a dock. Virgin Voyages takes delivery of the third ship. 5 ships open the season in Antigua. And a lot more here at 11 o'clock this morning. Today, folks, is National Pastries Day. It couldn't be a better day for having a bashable. I think it's the way it's pronounced. But anyway, it's a pastry. So that ties right in. How about that? If you're listening via the blog, you can always access the podcast. Wow. Let's start over. If you're listening via the podcast, you can always access the show via my blog, which is accessadventure.net, or wherever you get your podcast from. Just search for Travel and Cruise Industry News, and up pops the Fat Travel Guy. If you ever are listening to the podcast and want to hop over to the video feed, all you have to do is check in the description. And there's a link to access the video feed, and you can check out any pictures or clips that I may be using on that day's show. So, all right, my special guest today, and I gotta put some stipulations on this. I pre-recorded it yesterday in between my show and the Cruise Amigo show. I was having some technical issues on my end. I kept freezing. And then she's in Shropshire, England. I'm not real sure her signal was all that great. We never could get her video going, so it's her end of it's strictly audio. But anyway, I tried to cut out the rough parts of it as best I could. So hopefully we'll get it up and going here. But anyway, my guest is Michelle Monro. She's the daughter of a very popular singer, Matt Monro. So I have a couple books. She's just recently, she has MS, by the way. She's recently put out a book called The Autonomous Cruiser. And she's working on a series of guides for disabled passengers. So I thought it would be a very interesting interview. So let's see if we can actually get the interview played. The Autonomous Cruiser.
Well, I've worked on cruise ships for a lot of years, but I've been cruising over 40. And I started talking to people with special needs on the ships. And because I've got MS and I used to travel as an able-bodied. And then I started noticing sort of things I hadn't noticed as an able-bodied before. And then I started talking, as I said, to other people with special needs and understood the frustrations that they had, not just with booking a cruise, but with the things they weren't aware of before they got on a ship. The most telling one was people didn't realize that if there was tender ports, tenders mean, as you know, if you have to take the lifeboats across to land because you've had to anchor offshore, that you cannot use them on most ships if you are in a wheelchair. And the amount of people that were on a cruise that booked it because they were in chairs who had no idea they couldn't get off. So that's a biggie, you understand. The websites, just weren't giving enough information to people. Things like you get in the cabin and there's one plug. And that is no good if you've got oxygenators or special equipment. You need to know to bring either an extension or you can combat the issues. It becomes easy to manage, but it isn't easy to manage if you get on blind like that.
Right.
So I just got more and more frustrated. I kept thinking there would be a book on the market, but it just wasn't forthcoming. So in the end, I decided to write it myself.
Awesome. I'm what I call mobility challenger. I haven't gotten to the point of a chair yet, but oddly on this cruise, this is the first one I've done. This is my 20th cruise this year.
Right.
I have been able to tender on 2 different ports this time.
I've only done 8.
I've
only done 8 this
year. One was awful and scary. And then the second one in Grand Cayman yesterday was reasonable. So I've actually been able to tender twice, which is very rare.
Well, some of the American ships, especially Celebrity, the newer ones, they now have the magic carpet, which allows a lot of users to be able to get ashore as long as the facilities shoreside are okay. And so, but it costs millions. So you can understand not every cruise line can afford to adapt it. But I mean, it's like, even pools and jacuzzis. A lot of the American ships have hoists so that you can go in the water. Of course, over there, they have the bonus of the American Disabilities Act. So they have to comply to a certain standard. Unfortunately, England doesn't have that act. So I think a lot of the cruise lines that have existing ships don't feel inclined to invest that sort of money. Right.
I have problems personally with the hoists because I feel it's not a spectacle. Let's pick up the big fat guy in front of all these people that are out here sunbathing and swing him over into the water. I'd be mortified. But
Chillie, if you're not, swimming, being in water can give a disabled person so much freedom, and a lot of people will be like, oh, well, to hell with what I look like. Let me get in the water. So at least there's an option, you know.
Yeah.
And I mean, a lot of the ships, Celebrity I was on this year, the Silhouette, they have electric doors, they have braille. They're very, very up on doing the best they can to make everybody feel included. And I think that's really important in this day and age. Disability is hard enough, and cruising shouldn't be an added disability.
Right. Well, one of the things that I try to do, Michelle, when I'm on a ship, I do literally a study through the accessible eyes. And like on this ship, there's been a lot of things really good about it, but the public restrooms, there are 12 public men's restrooms that on my scooter, to get in them, they're marked as wheelchair, accessible cabins, but they're really not, because I have to reach forward and I have to pull the door open and back the scooter up to open the door, and then try to get the scooter inside and then let go of the door and it smashes into my arms. So I talked to him about it. I said, these aren't handicap accessible restrooms because you can't get in them.
Yeah. So I think, unfortunately, what they should have done is employed a person with special needs when designing the ships.
that would help.
I mean, it's all very well an able-bodied going, oh, well, we'll put a vibrating bed there and we'll do this. If they haven't got that disability themselves, they're not walking in our shoes.
Right, exactly. So anyway, what have you found out about accessible excursions? Are you finding any success in getting on excursions from transportation situation?
There are a few companies that provide really good resources, but I love it when they say this is an accessible tour, but you've got to walk up the 4 steps of the coach to get into it.
Yeah, that doesn't work.
I mean, not a clue. But the independent tour companies, especially in Europe, there are a few that are really good, and they've got lifting ramps and they make sure that every part of their tour is available to people with every special need.
Right.
But it's hard. I mean, the Caribbean is a no-go as far as I'm concerned, because they just don't have the infrastructure there.
I found that out because that's about 90% of my cruising is in the Caribbean. So
yeah,
so
but
it's
not
an
everybody,
ongoing battle.
Not everybody's in a wheelchair, but if you have a person without sight, I've just been to St. Martin, and unfortunately it was hit by the badly. All the pavements are uneven. There's stones everywhere. It's a nightmare for someone who can't see.
Yeah.
Even with a person next to them, the roads are so bad. And obviously they're trying to fix things as quickly as possible, but it's really an uphill battle, really.
Right. Yeah, I was just, I'll be there again next week, as a matter of fact. I was there about 3 weeks ago. So St. Martin is one of the places I go pretty regularly, and it's tough right now.
It really is. But something,
I tend to.
In Copenhagen, who they pride themselves on being an accessible city, and they are very, very good. But there is a port called Langelini, which is one of the favorite ports, because it's literally a third of a mile walk to the Little Mermaid at the end of the ship. The entire road is kind of a small 2-lane road. All the tour buses, the taxis, the industrial lorries coming down to drop things off for the ship. So you come out of a wire gate, if you like. There's only one pavement on the other side. For the entire mile of that road, there is no drop curb.
Oh, my goodness.
And every time I've been there for the last 5 years, I've told them. If you're in a manual wheelchair, it's okay. You can tilt it. Yeah. But what's happening, Chillie, is people in electric chairs are literally taking their life in their hand, literally driving down the road.
Yeah.
It's an accident waiting for somewhere to happen.
Yeah, sure it is. Wow. All right. Yeah. So what's next for you? When do you cruise
I've only just got off the ship 8 days ago. I'm home for Christmas now. Just going to enjoy being on dry land, although it's -4 here. So I do miss where I've just come from.
Right. Well,
but
I
probably
have one
won't
more
go
week and then I go home.
Oh, good. Yeah, I usually go on the ships around April, May, till about October, November.
All right. Well, Michelle, thank you so much for doing this. I so appreciate it. I've been looking forward to it, and we'll stay in touch and maybe do it again sometime.
Yeah, I'm sorry we've had sound and visual problems.
That's okay. We make the best of what we got to work with. So
yeah, well,
anyway,
happy and safe cruising, and I wish you a really wonderful Christmas and all your listeners.
All right. Thanks so much, Michelle. We'll talk to you soon. And
God
happy holidays to you.
Thank you.
All right.
Is that all right?
All right. That was Michelle Monro from Shropshire, England. So that was an interesting interview. Let's see, what else do I have before I get to the news? Last night, all the bigwigs did the gauntlet routine where they all line up. I guess passengers are supposed to throw darts at them or something. So I got to there, and all of a sudden I hear, "Oh, Mr. Falls!" And I go, "What?" And it was the guest services manager, and he says, "I just wanted to chat with you about the information you provided on the restrooms and the restroom doors." And he said, "I just want to assure you that we're going to fix it. We've got to going into dry dock, and the accessibility issues are at the top of the list." So I said, "Well, I got a phone call about it, and I so do appreciate that." So I was really surprised that number one, he knew who I was, and then the next thing out of his mouth is, "I've really been enjoying reading your blog and catching your shows." And I'm thinking, wow, how cool is that? So anyway, his name was Jason. I could never pronounce his last name. Jason Picarts. That's it. And then one of the other officers said, asked where I was going next, and I told him that I'd be on Seascape next week, and he says, gave me the Giannis, the name of the hotel manager on the Seascape's a friend of his, and to look him up and tell him that he said hello. So I promised to do that. So, all right, then I have to tell you, I have probably met more people on this cruise than on any cruise I believe I've ever done. Really been an interesting cruise as far as meeting people and hopefully, gaining new people for the channel. A gentleman asked me a question this morning that I thought I'd share what I did last night. I went to the world stage for the dance performance, and man, it was outstanding. They were really good, as you can tell from those pictures. I mean, I was literally right on the stage, and of course, the room was completely filled by the time it was over with. I wasn't allowed to take any video, so I just snuck a couple still pictures. But it was just awesome. So this morning at breakfast, I met a gentleman by the name of Jay, and he's doing a 14-dayer, a 7-day, back to back. And he has a complaint. He says they don't rotate the entertainment out at all. He says, so what happens if he's doing 14 days and he's going home for a week and coming back and doing the same ship for 14 days more. He says, so I'd like to see different entertainment. And he says, you can only, the same comedian 4 times gets a little boring. Well, that's an interesting point. And I'm wondering what they do on some of the longer cruises. Some of you may have an answer to this, because I didn't have an answer for him, because most of my cruising experience has been, 7 days. I do side to sides a lot, where I'll stack 2 or 3 cruises on one trip, but I've not done like 7 and 7 on the same ship. And then of course I don't, because of my hours, and I'm not going to shows every night because I'm too tired and I gotta go to bed. But I understand what he's saying, that with that number of days on the same ship, you could get bored with the entertainment. So what have you guys found? If you're on a ship for a longer period of time, do they rotate the entertainment out, or is it the same entertainment over and over and over? I wasn't sure how to answer him, but it was an interesting little discussion we had while I was having breakfast this morning. That's the kind of information it's been all week for me. So, all right, guys, we got a couple news stories. But first, I got to tell you about Scootaround. Of course, they got a big sale going on, holiday sale. You can save money on everything, whether you're interested in, scooters or the WHILL Powerchairs or regular chairs or any of the accessible things, regular wheelchairs on down to canes. It doesn't matter. They got it all. So, and everything's reduced for the holidays. So, as always, on the descriptions of my live streams and my long form videos, you can always find the phone number for Scootaround. Also has my SRN number, so I get credit for it if you give them that number. Or you can contact me and I'll quarterback the deal and get in touch with people so you can get information, whether you're renting or buying. You can have all of it taken care of for you. So if you have any mobility needs, let me know. We can hook you right up. And they're absolutely fabulous people. All right, I'll be back with a couple news stories right after a word from one of our network sponsors. All right, we do have a couple stories this morning. The first one deals with a cruise line I've never been on, but the AIDAbella. Whoops, I said that wrong. AIDAbella crashed in the dock at Hamburg cruise terminal in Germany, causing dents, paint scrapes, and damage to the hull on the aft side of the ship. The incident happened around 8 a.m. yesterday while the ship was docking at its assigned spot at the dock. After inspecting the vessel, authorities said the ship suffered minor damage and there are no reported injuries among passengers and crew. However, the ship was not allowed to continue on with its next cruise, which will be postponed for several days. The unfortunate part about the AIDAbella, the next cruise is a world cruise, folks. How'd you like to spend 60 grand or something on a world cruise, and all of a sudden they say, oh, sorry, you got to wait a couple of days to get on the boat because it crashed into the dock? Wow, that might be a little shaky. Anyway, they're leaving on I think it's a 43-day Caribbean voyage. So I hope AIDAbella gets things hooked up and off on the long cruise real quick. All right, our buddies over at Virgin Voyages, they're taking the delivery of the third ship, the Resilient Lady, built in Fincantieri, Seston Ponente shipyard in Genoa, Italy. The 110,000 gross ton Resilient Lady marks the brand's third completed vessel in the span of 2 years. Resilient Lady is scheduled to embark on her maiden voyage around the Greek Isles on May the 14th. After her inaugural season in the Mediterranean, the vessel will set sail on a 44-night repositioning voyage heading down under to Australia and New Zealand. Starting October 22nd, Resilient Lady will depart Athens and is set to arrive in Sydney, Australia, December 4th. Resilient Lady is virtually identical to the sister ships, Scarlet Lady and Valiant Lady. And no, I have not sailed on them yet. And yes, it's on my bucket list to get on one of them this year. All right, the last story for the day, folks, is good news for our friends down in Antigua. 5 cruise ships from 5 different cruise lines were docked in Antigua one day earlier this week, not only visiting the popular tropical destination, but representing the official opening of the winter cruise season and celebrating the opening of the port's 5th berth. Seaburn Ovation, Marella Explorer 2, Norwegian Dawn, Celebrity Millennium, and AIDAbella were the ships in dock for that day. So congratulations to Antigua on getting things really going. So that is just awesome. Prior to the completion of the new berth, the port handled about 800,000 passengers each year. Should take it up to about 1 million passengers now in Antigua Harbor. They've also dredged the harbor and improved the marine channel so that larger vessels can get in there. They're still working on the new terminal building. It's not complete yet, but it's expected to be finished by next fall, when additional ships from Emerald Cruises and Sea Dream Yacht Club have planned to begin homeporting from Antigua. So we're probably going to hear a lot more on Antigua in the future. So again, it's one of those Caribbean ports that's, I like them a lot. All right, let's go see who's over in the chat room this morning. Kenneth's with us. Hi, Kenneth up in Pennsylvania. Probably snowing up there. Mike's with us. Hi, Mike. Nikki down in Jacksonville. Hi, Nick. Sonny's with us down in Mississippi. Hi there, Tom. Hi there, says, thank goodness Friday. It's Friday. Yeah, I agree. I guess I better talk about that. Okay. Of course, this is the last scheduled show this week. I disembark tomorrow in Fort Lauderdale, go over and get my car at the hotel, and drive all the way to Miami. So I've got about a 20-minute drive. I don't know how long it takes. Who cares? But anyway, going to Miami, staying a night in Miami, and then getting on MSC Seascape on Sunday. So I will probably do, at least one live stream from the Seascape on Sunday. Have no idea when, where, how, or why, but I'll do it someplace and see how the signal works. So we'll try it out and see, like I did this week, as a matter of fact. And then the regular scheduled show on Monday will be like normal. And I'm planning next week to do shows just like I did this week. I don't have any excursions planned when I go ashore, unless something comes up, which I don't know about yet. But if not, then I'll do the shows as normally scheduled, and I'll just go ashore after the shows. That's worked out pretty well for me. So if I can get on an excursion, I'll go ahead and do it, and then I'll make some adjustment around the show. But I'll know and announce that. Robert's with us. Dennis is here. Good morning, Dennis. Yo, 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 Brooklyn in the house. Eddie's with us. Hi there, says, hey, ex-Brooklyn. Time to adopt your new locale. Eddie's in relax down in Georgia now. Yeah. Great to hear that, Eddie. Hot air says. And everybody just speaking back and forth. A reminder that most of the larger cruise lines are American owned. There's no reason they shouldn't have disability compliance officials involved in the ship design. Yeah, but unfortunately, they don't. Even some of the new ships still have some problems. but they're getting better. And I cannot fault New Stotendam at all. They realize that there is an issue and they're going to fix it. So goodness knows. I mean, that's terrific for me. And this ship is not so bad at all that I would not recommend it. I highly recommend it. This has been a great cruise. And especially the couple issues that I found, they're going to fix it. That'll make it just a wonderful ship. Everything about the cruise so far that I've enjoyed, I've loved the food, the service, the staff has just been exceptional. The kind of help that I'm constantly offered, which I try not to take, but still it's offered, has just been terrific. This has been, like I said earlier, this has been one of the best cruises I've ever been on as far as meeting people. And, I'm not the shy guy. I talk to everybody. But it just seems like I've had more interesting conversations with more people than ever on this cruise. So, and that's just terrific. Cindy's with us. She says, I got here a little late. Happy Friday. On long voyages, the performers and speakers are flown into ports along the journey and remain on board briefly. Okay, that's what I thought. So I'm wondering, where's the line? I know that the 14-day, at least from what Jay was telling me this morning, the 14-day is all the same entertainers. So when in that cycle did they do it? I wonder. Anyway, because he's doing 14 days with a week open in between. And I have no idea why he booked it that way. That's his business. I'm not sure I would do that. I'd book a long cruise on a ship, but I'm not sure that I'd book 4 7s out of 5 weeks on the same ship, because I'd like to do multiple ships too. But then I wouldn't have a problem if I was doing a long cruise, 30, 40, 50-day cruise on one ship. I'd love to do that if I can ever attract sponsors. On my world cruise, entertainment was different by sectors, with comedians, singers, dancers flown in to maintain variety. Okay, well, I'll report back to him that's the industry standard. There are some good offers at Vacations to Go on their World Cruise page. Yeah, my buddies at Vacations to Go. Lucy, you have some splaining to do. Me? Or maybe Steve Urkel. Did I do that? The AIDA cruises are German, but the ships have Italian names. Fincantiari. I was pretty close. Ari. Fincantiari. I tried this. I'm working at it. What's the correct pronunciation of AIDA? Is the I an I-E-Y-E or an E? AIDA in Spanish is just like it's spelled AIDA. Well, let's see what this is. AIDA is of Italian origin and always properly pronounced AIDA. So I do that one right. That's cool. You're probably confused because of the Canadian cruise clown who mispronounced AIDA. Chillie's Cruises, let the manager know you will be booking the ship after the dry dock to examine your updates. Yeah, well, I mean, I feel really good about where the whole situation sits right now. AIDA, the A in Italian is open A like ah, as in father. The I in Italian is always pronounced E as in pizza, pizza, Gucci, Gucci. Pastry on its way. I don't know. The guy that was to do this, I haven't seen him. I think they're picking it. Oh yeah, their one just went past me.
Yeah, they're serving.
Here, can you come over here to show this?
I haven't had one yet.
Okay.
Somebody told me about
Let's see if I. There we go.
from 11:30.
That's one of them. Thank you. Sir. I've got one.
By 12. So.
I've got one of them on order. So, wow, boy, that looks good. So, yeah. Well, I'm gonna have to make it over there to get it. It looks like. So. Dennis is not usually on the 14 great cruises, but on longer ones. Okay. Well, I hope I run into Jay again and I can report back to him on that. All right, guys, that's going to wrap me up for my week on the new Stotendam. I am going to go ashore in Bimini to see if I can find any trouble to get into today. And, of course, I'll be checking back with you. And I'll try to do a live when I get on board the Seascape on Sunday. So for now, that's going to wrap me up. And as always, guys, stay safe, stay healthy, think about cruising, and hopefully one day soon we'll all get together on the high seas. Have a fantastic day, y'all, and a great weekend. See you soon.
I regularly post videos on all facets of the travel and cruise industry. So if you like to keep up with the latest in cruise ships, ports of call, cruises themselves, Chillie chats, and travel and cruise industry news, just hit the little subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner, hit the bell notification so you'll be notified when a new video is up or we go live. This video was produced by Chillie's Cruises.